Hi, everybody, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. We would like to welcome you to the GCC in Berlin, and we are here with the Webinar.Live, our hybrid webinar session, and we're going to talk to you about the role of the data centers in the region to meet the future demands. And of course, I'm very honored to have a huge senior executive panel here with me, and I would give them a quick minute to introduce themselves. So, Chairman, please, over to you, over to Hong Kong.
All right, thank you. So, good morning and good evening, everyone. Thank you to have me on board. My name is Sharman. I am the General Manager of DC Connect Global. So DC Connect, we run a network over 1,000 ports around the group. We run it through an SDN-enabled network, and we manage all our different ports through the API and all the SDN abilities. So what we do is we provide data center to data center interconnect, the DCI service, as well as to the cloud. Either it's cloud to cloud or multi-cloud interconnection. So because we are running a network through the SDN networks, that's why with the API abilities, that's why we are expanding our network pretty fast, because we are working under the federated concept. So with new partners, which are also SDN or API enabled, so we are welcome to ask them to join us to increase our footprint easily. So another business, what we do is we also license our SDN or BSS OSS software to those companies that are willing to transform their existing legacy network to become an SDN-enabled network. So probably this is a quick summary of what we do.
Thank you very much, Chairman, and welcome to be here and sponsoring this panel discussion. Kevin, over to you, to the beautiful town of Singapore. You're on mute. The most.
Yeah, that's a famous phrase for the last year. You're on mute. Hey, thank you very much. And from the beautiful town of Singapore, I wish you all a great welcome to the beautiful city of Berlin. And I'm sorry I can't be there. And anyway, just a quick introduction. Wong Carvin. I'm the currently the CEO and co-founder of a company called Data Center First. We've just recently raised a fund through a joint venture with Gore Capital in Hong Kong. And our goal is to build a series of next generation data centers, which are really trying to connect the edge to the hubs in Asia. So that's our major, that's what my company is doing, Data Center First. And our first project is going to be in another island, actually on the island of Batam, which, by the way, will be probably one of the most well-connected. Hello, oops. Hello, can you hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
Oh, sorry. So I thought I lost you guys. So basically, Batam is where we're going to start our project from, and we'll be moving from there to the rest of the ASEAN region. And that's my introduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. Really lovely having you, and warm welcome. Mayank, we go over to you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Lovely to be here. I am the Chief Development Officer for BDX Data Centers. My key responsibility is supporting all expansion, organic and inorganic. BDX is owned by an infrastructure fund based out of Miami. And we are about a 1.5 year old company and with a lot of hunger for growth.
Fantastic. Welcome having you. And Mayank, tell me, please, one quick question. Where are you based now? Where are you calling from?
Singapore.
Singapore. Okay, so I hope you're not in a traffic jam with Kevin, huh?
I'm happy to juggle between muting and unmuting my mic.
Fantastic. Welcome having you. And then we'll go to Mundir, the beautiful city of Muscat.
Thank you, Rick. Hi, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. This is Mundir Al Raisi. Mainly, I'm heading the Oman Tel Wholesale Service Delivery Team. So yeah, my team executes all the interconnects and capacity and data services implementations of Mantle and wholesale, precisely wholesale customers. And I'm also heavily involved in the pre-sales, all the capacity data centers and connectivities, and as well as the submarine cable planning phase, and also at the operation phase of those submarine cables. And of course, recently, we have our joint venture with Equinix at MC1. So that is also part of my team's responsibilities.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mundir. And last but not least, and live here in Berlin, ladies and gentlemen, we have Jens Leuchters from New Telco. Please.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, everybody here in Berlin. My name is Jens Leuchters. I'm Managing Director of New Telco in Frankfurt. So New Telco is mainly focusing in nowadays on carrier business, and we are system integrator, and we do system integration, but almost mainly on infrastructure. So this is data center, co-location, data center, networks, physical, logical interconnection, point-to-point, point-to-multipoint networks, the hardware. So we have a cell model or a CapEx to OpEx model for our customers, and we do the field and remote hand support on behalf of our customers. And this is the type of services we're offering, and our carrier customers using this mainly in Frankfurt, but not only. We also have some facilities across Europe, which is Stockholm, London, Amsterdam, and Vienna. And also similar what Kevin said, we have just launched a new project. We are having a data center under construction, which is with the same goal. We want to have a edge data center a little bit on the suburb of Frankfurt, so that we can serve customers in the region to connect with the hub in Frankfurt. So that's a similar project that we are just launched and kicked off, and I'm very happy about it, excited about it, and yeah, that's us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And it's a big honor, ladies and gentlemen out there, that I have a couple of Care Community Award winners since yesterday evening around here and in the panel. So very honored to that. So let's move on. Charmant, if I may ask you and invite you, please, to kick off with the keynote presentation. And you're going to talk us through what? Tell us, please.
Good morning and good evening again, right? Depends on which part of the world you're in. Thank you for joining the webinar, and you're welcome. My name is Shaman Shang again. I'm the General Manager of DC Connect, and I'm honored to be the keynote speaker of today. Now, without further ado, let's get started. So the topic of today's keynote discussion is the role of the data center in the region to meet future demand. Now, but before we start answering the question, I would like to start with my 6 observations on the current market trend, and I would also like to share with you some interesting market forecasts and prediction published by some major renowned research firms. Now, first of all, I'm not a financial advisor, but I would like to share some financial information with you. So let's look at some data center company stock performance since January 2020, just a few months before the WHO declared the pandemic. Now, we experienced the stock market crash on 15th of March 2020, and it is the signal, the beginning of the COVID recession. Now, since then, we observed that the data center company stock already bounced back strong and made some heavy gain in the stock market. Like the example I get here, maybe you can see from Equinix, Digital Realty in the States, and also Sun E Vision in Asia. So they are all bounced back happily. And as a comparison, a couple of major legacy telco, they cannot benefit from the unprecedented pandemic economy and did not recover well from the crash. Now of course, you will find a few exceptional, brilliant data center company that ain't doing that great, and you will find some telco that has successfully transformed and bounced back with brilliant financial results. So the example I've got here is AT&T, Singtel, and Telecom Italia. Seem like they're not actually bouncing back since the crash almost years ago. Now there are a few issues that I think they are hindering their recovery. Now because they have legacy of high capex, they have skilled but expensive headcount people. They have a clumsy bid to build process. And because of the rapid bandwidth price drop and so on, so it's hindering those telcos or bounce back and have a good performance financially. Now, in September 2020, Gartner published a research report with a title saying data center may not be dead, but is more than. It's quite a scary title. Obviously, it's very eye-catching. If I see a title like that, I would definitely go and look at that report and see what's going on. Now, actually, this is a sequel of the Gartner report a year ahead on 2019. That title was "The Data Center is Almost Dead," right? It's even more scary if you remember that report from Gartner. Now, but if we look at the market right now, right, we start seeing traditional telco are selling off their data center businesses. The latest one is PCCW. It happened in July this year. And not long before that, AT&T, Verizon, and CenturyLink, they are all doing similar thing by selling their assets for multi-billion-dollar deal. Now, and Gartner predict that by year 2025, 85% of those infrastructure strategy and project will integrate with on-prem, co-location, and cloud and edge delivery options, which compared with the year 2020 is only 20%, which is a big jump of that. Now, if I look at that report, I have doubt about that. I mean, please note that the report by Gartner was issued in September 2020, and where at that time the implication of the pandemic is not being reflected in that analysis. So a year later, in April 2021, Gartner issued another research report and cites that these data center businesses are not actually doing well, but they are not without challenge from the cloud players. In that report, Gartner illustrated that they use an illustration of as an organization, they mobilize for a massive global effort to produce and distribute the COVID-19 vaccination with the SaaS-based application, which enable essential tasks such as automation and supply chain. And such application continue to demonstrate a very high reliability in scaling the vaccine management. So it let a lot of CIOs start thinking that, yes, I can put mission critical application on cloud. You have a real life demonstration and prove that it's happened and it is very, very reliable. So with all that different discussions and prediction on whether cloud-centric enterprise are willing to put their critical application on the cloud or on-prem, I think the answer is reasonably concluded in this report, the 5th Annual State Data Center Industry Research Report. It is saying that with the hybrid model getting more popular, cloud computing usage has shifted away from the public cloud and towards a hybrid cloud approach. And the good thing is definitely data center are here to stay. And all the CIO and IT manager are now have a favors in a mix of cloud and in-house system. What that means? It means that the data center manager are now determining which workloads would be the best to stay in the cloud and which should retain in-house. Due to compliance, security, or the need to recover the hardware and software investment, and other general economic reasons, some applications are likely to remain within the data center for some time to come. Other application, other workload, if they are easier and cheaper to host in the cloud, so by all means, just put them place there, put in the cloud, which can also take advantage of the tight integration with other cloud applications as well. Now, if we take a look at where are all these clouds located, you will easily see that there are a large number of public cloud deployment in the world with a lot of coverage of different regions and available zones. And it is not difficult to identify that there's a highly concentrated distribution of cloud locations, and it makes the cloud density highly uneven and create an effect called the cloud hub. So what's the implication of that? I mean, the cloud hubs are like a magnet. It attracts and draws data traffic from surrounding data centers. And naturally, it creates the demand for the DC interconnect and cloud connectivity business. Now let's take Southeast Asia as an example. Now, Singapore, right? We have a panelist here in Singapore. Now, Singapore as the major financial hub in the region, as well as subsea cable hubs, and with the highest public cloud market of almost $3.5 billion by 2023. And no wonder at least 5 major cloud players has already touched base there. All about Indonesia, the 4th most populated country in the world. And I have no wonder that all the cloud players will be going after that 270 million eyeballs market. No wonder about it. So similar cloud hub effect you can see in Europe and in North America. You can name a few with this sort of phenomenon. Now, since we know that there's a data center connectivity and cloud connectivity market here, so the question is, how big is that market? Now, it is predicted that the global DCI, which is data center interconnect market, will contribute to almost 14 billion market, although 14 billion market revenue by year 2025, where the enterprise end user segment contribute to the highest growth during that period. So this is good news because this enterprise customer are your direct customer. They are not wholesale customer, they are your direct customer. This customer directly hosts their service in your data center. You know who they are. You know them well, and they know who you are. And then other exciting news is that 72% of your direct customer want to purchase the DCI service from you, not from the telco. So if you are a data center operator and you have the ability to provide such a DCI service, that your customer is willing to do business with you. Now, we'll go back to the main theme of today. So what are the roles of data center? Now, if we would like to draw some conclusion here, in order to meet the future demand data center player, I think we need to provide a platform for those cloud-centric business to grow, as well as foster the acceleration of the cloud adaptation. So how do we do that, and what does it mean to that? So I think data center player needs to serve the enterprise customer to meet their change and to remove the barrier for their regional growth, to allow them to easily transform from the existing network infrastructure, maybe on just an on-prem solution, to become a hybrid cloud solution. You also need to consider that to provide an environment to let them access to data center and connectivity service anywhere in the world. So this is borderless to them. They will have requirement all over the world, all the cloud in the world, not only restricted to the national requirement. In order to do that, you might need a simple and agile network infrastructure, allowing your customer to connect to the cloud, to the network ecosystem that can adapt and ready to connect to anywhere in the world. So this is what I believe the data center need to achieve that. Now, in here, I would like to introduce the DC Gateway service, which is an award-winning SaaS solution. Thank you. That we have won some award last night. And then I think we believe DC Gateway will be a solution to able to serve the data center customer to provide their need to meet the future demands. So what is the DC Gateway? over the last year, I mean, we've been approached by some data center service provider for a solution, exactly solution. They want to fulfill the customer need for a fast, flexible, and cost-effective connectivity to the cloud and data center solutions. So that's why we have that DC Gateway SaaS solution that allow the DC players, the network facility, connect to our DCC global ecosystem, and then we provide access to over 1,000 data center locations with many major cloud providers, as well as major data center locations to them. So once you're part of that into that DCC ecosystem, then you can leverage the benefit from the highly agile and flexible SDN-based network, and you can reach out to all the endpoints of the federated network. The DC Gateway, I think we stand out from the rest of the competition because we reckon because of the ability to support the white labeling business model. Now, you can sell and market the service under your own brand name. Now, this is something that we believe is quite unique because as a DC provider, you probably want to provide a one-stop shop solution to your client, and that's why white labeling is something that you want to carry rather than a pure reseller position. So this is the business model that we developed for our channel partner. Number two, we provide and support automatic network resources trading. What that means is we have the ability for the DC players to define your own price for selling your own network resources. Now, the benefit of this are twofold. Not only will you be able to access to the ecosystem for data center and cloud platform with some instant provisional ability, but it also allow you, it also allow other ecosystem player to reach out to you for your network resources. So since you have the buy and sell functions in place, so this is a new revenue generation tool for you because you are capturing new revenue from the networking business on top of your existing DC data center business. The next one I would like to introduce is AI pricing calculation, which I'll talk about a little bit more in the next slide. So this is actually a automatic path selections based on the shortest path or the lowest cost path that we can create that for you. And with some minimum investment in compatible SDN switches and a backbone connected to DCC node. So the DC players can gain access to all the node worldwide and with the ability to make some on-demand connection on a pay-as-you-go basis. Now, this is a schematic of the pricing logic that I mentioned earlier on. This is just an example of the way how we do the pricing. As you can see, there are a lot of nodes and lines connected together. We use a concept called a segment pricing. So we added up from segment by segment, from destination AN to destination BN. So we have AI mechanism so that we can work out the path with the shortest latency or the path with the lowest cost, depends on your requirement. So if the DC Gateway partner join our network, so in here it is an example of a partner which already have 3 data center premises and they have some backbone connected all together. They join the ecosystem here. So once you join this ecosystem, so all the ecosystem partner or all the other user in the ecosystem will be able to see your resources, and they can buy the resources through the portal. As long as you keep your price here, you tell me how much you're going to price it. So all the other partner can buy your resources using the same portal. So in here, you are in the position of the buy and sell together, meaning that you can be you can capture new revenue, or you can be easily to get connected to all the other data center or cloud provider that you want in the world. So finally, this is our coverage. We have over 1,000 ports in APAC, North America, Europe, and China. And it's now available in all the major cities, such as Japan, Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, and Thailand, and all that. So thank you for your time, and thank you for watching the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jarmond, and really interesting to see what you guys are doing. And again, congrats with the awards yesterday evening, and I think well deserved. So absolute congrats to that. Now you gave us an overview of, let's say, the Southeast Asia region, again with the report from Gartner and so on. So let me do a quick round, and let me start quickly with Mundir. Maybe Mundir from the Middle East point of view. Can you scope a little bit the landscape in for the data centers in your region, just to give the audience a little overview around the world what we're talking about?
Sure, sure. What we see, and with the continuous interaction with the customers and what their perspectives are in terms of how they want to grow and size their organizations. So I think, as the chairman said the demand is always they sometimes to keep some of the data within their in-source data centers, but which are less sensitive, or kind of they can easily store or host somewhere in the third-party data centers. I think that is being noticed in the region. We see let's say loads of what we call small and medium enterprises in the region. They are tend to move to third-party data centers, or well-managed or well-known data centers, which such as known trademarks in the region. Simply because, of course, they wanna get better investments on their IT systems, and get that hassle of managing it in terms of infrastructure and hands-on experience in day-to-day. So they keep that or shift that trend into well-known managed data centers in the region. I think that is increasing in what we have seen in the past, let's say, at least 2 years and 2.5 years.
Okay, thank you very much. Jens, can you give a little bit, what are the characteristics of the current landscape, let's say, in not only Germany, but also Europe, just to put something to the total picture?
Yeah, sure. It was a presentation that Jawan made there. He was exactly making a couple of points that we did in our research as well, that has driven us to the decision to build an own or a new data center as well. So number one, there is certainly a market for small and medium enterprise customers that do not want to put all their application, all their systems into a cloud, for various reasons, right? Maybe for a governance reason, maybe for a security reason, and simply they want to still have their own IT infrastructure and run it. But they normally don't have a good data center, as we would call it, a data center, right? It's very much still a server room. It's not very efficient from the energy point of view. It's not very secure, and that is something we explored. So that's one topic, and the second one is the hybrid model. So we see the hybrid model, of course, cloud is all over, and it has its place, it's right, but not every customer wants to put everything in the cloud. So the hybrid model is a good way through and to meet customers' expectation and their IT needs, for sure. Then for that is one topic that we are seeing as well. Another one for us as a traditional, let's say, neutral carrier provider, but our main source is the carrier. We don't know most of the time we do not know the end customer. So this is sometimes not a nice situation to be in, especially when it comes to service offering, or you're getting a request, you have absolutely no idea what makes or break a deal, right? Because you don't get this information or the detailed information. So for us, it was also necessary that we are able to build a new market. For us as New Telco means we also want to go after small, medium enterprises in the region, of course, not to compete with our customers that are our carrier customers, which are international carriers. So that is another very important stuff for us. We have to keep the neutrality somehow. But yeah, this is again also from our point of view, this is a mandatory exercise for us as a provider also to fulfill the let's say the carbon reduction needs that a country has, because we help to centralize from various small IT rooms into a very nice data center that is offering a very sustainable and good power usage efficiency. So we are helping to reduce this power as well, power usage as well. That's also something which I think it's a goal, and we have to, as a provider, we have to fulfill that. We have to work this. So we have to balance all these various dimensions, and that's why we are doing this. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kevin, to you, I mean, the chairman was sharing with us already, let's say, the current landscape in Southeast Asia, and where you, of course, will be part of, and Bantam is going live, apologies, soon. So do you have anything to add, let's say, on from a regional point of view?
Yes, I think there's a couple of things that I would like to, it kind of convolute to all the discussion. As the data center development in Southeast Asia, where I am, I'm also beginning to see a lot of regional subsea cable development. These are smaller subsea cable development that's going on around our region to connect all the major cities together to Singapore or to Hong Kong. So these are very good, what I call convoluted development of infrastructure. The two key infrastructure, and let me get down to basics of infrastructure that will support the digital economy going forward, is going to be data center, which are like the pumping house for contents, and then the fiber network, not just any network, but the fiber network that will be able to leverage the kind of services DCC Connect just talked about, right? In order to be able to connect from anywhere to anywhere else, and not as a user, but as cloud application that are functioning to support user community. Now, that is the evolution of cloud underlying it. That's what's driving all this change. And I see this as what is driving the data center requirement usage in Southeast Asia. So it's the convergence of the subsea fiber and the data center are growing together with it. I see this as a very interesting phenomenon, and I use the word edge to hub, because you cannot get the edge to the hub if you don't have cables to connect to them together. Okay, and that's the key. That's how what I'm seeing going through, and I'm hoping to find out whether that's the same in other regions, like in the Middle East, where Oman is, and other places in Europe.
Okay, maybe Mundir, you want to add something to that?
Indeed, that's what the main focus is in, with the new submarine cables. Started, let's say, 2016, 17, and going onward. So, for example, of today, or let's say, if you take a step back, as Kevin said, we had the data center on one side, on the cable landing stations on the other side, and then the effort and hassle to get them both connected together. While now the trend is, yes, we are directly landing into the data centers, which we already did as part of Equinix MC1. So we have, let's say, the AE1 cable, which is directly landing into MC1, and like all the 19 parties and then their associated users are, getting benefit or making use of this facility, or let's say, yeah, the gap has been bridged, as what would say. And then, of course, recently GBI, Gulf Bridge International, has announced that, yes, they are also becoming, their presence will be becoming in the MC1 as well. So this is the trend, and as well as, yes, if you look Marseille, for example, AE1 also lands directly into Marseille 1. And then, of course, all the new upcoming cables will land into the new extended facilities of Marseille. So with this, yes, the interconnectivity or the interconnection between the cloud or hyperscalers and then the carrier, or let's say the usual carrier services operators, which is really, really bridging the gap and make it a lot easier for them. And also, of course, cutting down the interconnect costs as compared to the previous years. So that's the trend moving forward. And then, of course, the data centers also need to think of, how would the energy or the usage of the energy and the carbon emissions due to the expanded demand on the data centers now. Especially, it's not only the servers, but also now the power feed equipments are hosted within the data centers, which is the new upcoming trend. And I would say it's a challenge, but it's the matter to look at as well in terms of energy, reusing the energy within the data centers.
Okay, thank you, Mundir. Just before I go to back to Jens and to Chairman, Mayank, please, anything to add to the current landscape, characteristics and trends you see?
Indeed. So if you take a step back, we have countries like Indonesia with 250 million people, the Philippines with about 100 million people, and the data center capacity is sort of low double digits. Philippines is about what, 25 odd, Indonesia is about 35, 40. Compare that with Australia, a continent of 25 million people with capacity north of 1 gigawatt. So there's orders of magnitude of difference. And of course, while this is guided by a variety of factors, including privacy and subsea cables, as the other panelists pointed out, I think the key, another key aspect that has to be that has to move in tandem with the content growing within these factories, the data centers as they're called, is the edge network. And a lot of these countries today are sort of still building up their networks. And where my friend Carvin is going, the data will move from the edge to the hub and back and forth. But it also has to be consumed by the public, by the eyeballs, as we call them. And that sort of piece is which still needs some amount of building to do. Okay, thank you. Let's move ahead, gentlemen, because Kevin, you quickly mentioned, let's say the partnerships which are actually there and which are rising, and maybe it's even needs to be intensified. So maybe for you first, Chairman, if you want, do we see new partnership models between, could be cable operators and content providers, and well, I mean, what's your opinion, and how do these partnerships meet the growth and the customer demand?
No, thank you. Yeah, I think yes. I'm a strong believer of partnership. I'm a devil advocate. I'm believe in the federated network. This is how we build our business. I mean, not a single operator in the world can build thousands and thousands of POP in the world. No, not a single carrier can do that. So they got to be partnership. Now, for us, each partner had its own unique characteristic, had its own advantage and disadvantage. So some partners strong in Europe, some partners strong in the Middle East, some partners strong in Southeast Asia. So we are strong in Southeast Asia. We're strong in China and Hong Kong. Now, the thing is, right, if we want to actually provide a really agile network to customer, we got to be able to provide a service that covers the whole world. So in order to do that, I need partner to help us to build this big picture. Now, traditionally, it is very difficult. We talk about the NNI, talk about the layer 2, layer 3 protocol, how to network integrate together. My network legacy is not the same as your network. How these two network connected together? It would take a lot of time to build a partnership. But nowadays we have API. We are now building a partnership with another API-enabled partner in 2-3 weeks, and then it's done. What I mean by done is physically, you just connect a layer 2 service together, And then on top of that, all the intelligence is through the API, starting from using API to call the partner. Hey, tell me all your resources. How many data centers do you have? What are their location? What are their XY coordinates? Tell me. I use the API call, send it over, and then all the information come back. I put all the information onto my portal, so I know this partner has 500 ports there. And then I make an API call. Hey, tell me the price. I want to buy your service from your A data center to B data center for 100 meg. How much is it? I send an API call that, and then the API come back. This is the cost, $1,000 US. And I can quote to my client. Now, because of this ability for allowing me to form a partnership rapidly, able to manage to give my customer very rapid quotation, said, okay, everything can be done in the fingertips. Now, because of that, my rollout is very fast. I would be able to build my network with the right partner easily. And the partner will see that it's a benefit to them as well because of this economic of the scale. I mean, I've got 1,000 data center, you have 50, so join us, then we'll have 1,050. Because we're sharing the resources together. I open up my API to my partner use mine, and I use them. So because of that API economy, we make the whole, it's a different ball game with partnership. It's not the old way to do the traditional NNI anymore. So this is something that I find it very fascinating. And this is the trend for sure, that we no longer use the old way to exchange information anymore. And that's why we join some, for instance, the MEF or the Sonata protocol. This is something the API standard is still right there. So according to the standard, it makes it so easy for us to actually work with new partners together. So this is how I see it. So networking partnership through API is definitely going to be a trend.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Jens, do you see similar partnerships, and are they encouraged, or do you see, let's say, also some other, let's say, partnerships arising in, let's say, in the European part?
I think it's getting, well, I think it's getting easier to partner because, you know, we're having all these various platforms, and on these platforms, you know, we have the possibility to use it as a digital marketplace for network providers, for iAccess, for cloud providers, and of course, just to connect each other. So it's much easier nowadays, right? It can go via companies like DC Connect using APIs, or still it can be done by a very simple configuration by a team, but very maybe not in 10 minutes or in 5. It's not a self-employment or automatically deployment that goes pretty fast. Maybe takes an hour. But the current data center landscape we are having, and with all the various providers and all the platforms that are in place, because you know all the data center providers, whether they are large, global, or they are small, regional, local, they have to have the connectivity. And they have to have they need to have the maximum numbers of possible connectivities. And the only way you can do it is you need those platforms, and you have to attract customers to go on this platform and to connect on these platforms. And then the role, like from companies like DC Connect, are very important, because you know they will really, you know, they really bridge all the various platforms. Could be data center campus, or that could be global, like Equinix with their local with their global Ethernet platform that they're having. It allows us to bring this together with our platform, for instance, or with platforms from other data center providers. So that's absolutely key, and that's a must. And it's underpinning again what the topic is of the discussion. What is the role of a data center? So of course, we have to, number one, we have to build a data center, but also not just the data center helps us, because what Kevin also said, if we don't put the network in place, it's all nonsense. It doesn't work. So the role of a data center in the days is, if we put it into the region, is not just we invest into the data center for all the reasons that we have discussed. Yeah, we're helping companies to reduce their carbon footprint by hosting their servers. We need to invest into the dock, into the cable. So that's what we had to do as well too, because we had to, so therefore we expand the cable network. We help to get the hub to the edge. So again, we need to have best parsers connectivity to an IX or to a place where all the other network meets, so that we can extend it and long haul it to our data center. So, and that again is a very fruitful ground to for partnerships.
Okay, thank you. Mundir, I think you have a very nice partnership, especially in the MC1. So maybe you can quickly pinpoint on this, or and maybe tell us if you also see, let's say, in your region, let's say, some other partnerships coming around.
Yeah, indeed, as you said, Eric, yes, Omantel and Equinix joint venture is really one of the successful stories in the region, and it has shown its outcomes very fast, and how MC1 is growing. Of course, it's both the advantage of Equinix in the data center arena and Omantel in the connectivity and the submarine cable footprint in the region. So for example, yeah, when we established MC1, it was, fairly easy and quick to connect MC1 to the rest of Equinix, data centers and network, and using their what we call Equinix Fabric product, that any customer could reach any DC, Equinix DC, just instantly using the Equinix Fabric connectivity services. So this is growing. Let's say precisely Omantel and Equinix. We are trying to explore further and further opportunities either within Oman itself. As you know, Oman, it's a vast country, north to south. We have around 1,700 kilometers of coastline. So yeah, we are expanding, and this we encourage others as well to look into similar or even try to further innovative ways and partnerships just to complement each other, such as carriers and data centers in the region.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We heard already a couple of times. I mean, and maybe Mayang, you can join in as first. I mean, because we all talk about the climate and what we need to do. I mean, we heard the carbon sustainability already. So what do you see in your region, and what are the carbon footprint sustainability challenges, and what has been done to become more efficient? Do you see new designs, other designs? I mean, what's out there, and what will we see?
So there are two ways this is being approached. One, like you said, is a lot of focus on efficiency, and I mean, I really sort of floor the pedal with my design team to the 20% wastage from the moment the power lands in the facility to the moment the power reaches the server, and that's sort of one very, very disturbing sort of 20% wastage just on that. The second part about efficiency, and I'm taking efficiency in a few steps, and then I'll come to the green power part of it. The second part about efficiency is that all of the data centers always have surplus capacity. The most utilized data center never consumes more than 80% of its installed capacity. And consequently, you have inefficient running of the machines. The way out that I'm trying to sort of work through is to have customers within the data centers to have degraded SLAs and be okay to consume that 20% capacity. They clearly know that in times of an emergency, you guys will get shut off. So manage your applications and your loads accordingly. Moving on to, so that's one part. The second part of it is that a lot of governments in the region, so Singapore, for instance, has put on a moratorium on data centers. for a variety of reasons. Of course, data centers being the power guzzlers that they are. And we at BDX are lucky because our parent, the shareholder, the infrastructure firm, has a very rich sort of portfolio of renewable power companies. And for my next expansion in Taiwan, for my next country, which is Taiwan, we are going to ride on the renewable power being produced by one of the sister companies of ours. And to that extent, we sort of now have an informal sort of understanding that wherever there is a renewable platform being set up, BDX will by default go and set up a data center there.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, thank you. Chairman, please jump in on the green plan.
Well, I'm not really in a position to comment on the green data center because I'm not running a data center. I'm not doing data business. But as far as I know, I would like to bring into that idea about the ARM-based server, because what I'm hearing about the ARM-based server is something that usually the ARM is not in the servers industry, they are in the CPU in the peripheral, but now they're getting moved into the servers industry. Now, if this is turned out to be successful, I think there will be a lot of saving in terms of power, and to reduce the power requirement for an ordinary server like the one we have in 86 architecture. So if this is going to happen, probably it'll be a very cost-effective solution, and it's a good news to know. I'm looking forward to that actually being happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Kevin, what do you see?
Hi, yeah. The renewable power problem is not just current, it will be with us for the next 5 years to 6 years. And for data centers that doesn't find a solution, then we have to really think hard about what to do next. And this is not from me, this is from the communication I have with both my potential customers and customers. The renewable power requirement is going to become more and more high on their list of needs. It used to be good to have, now is moving to a need to have. So we need to make sure that we are able to find renewable power solution. And by the way, gentlemen, there are actually quite a lot of available solution, quite old ones that none of us are thinking about. I mean, you know, technically, I had a discussion with the energy people here. Hydro dam power, which is in abundance in Sweden and the Scandinavia, they are considered renewable. And I was also told that nuclear power is technically renewable, right? It's not fossil, right? So it's renewable. So we have to think outside the box as a data center provider. The other solution that we are working on for Singapore is going to be a challenge. And the other option that Singapore has is to buy renewable power from outside, because we are not going to have the ability to produce renewable. We don't have enough land to do that. Unless we decide to build a micro, nuclear power station next to my apartment. But basically, so our options are highly limited, and that forces us to rethink. And that's one of the reasons why the Singapore government has put the data center into a moratorium state, because of two challenges. Is what exactly would the model be? Because the demand for power is actually coming mostly from the data center sector. So I think it's a good thing that they did in order to make sure that we all sit back and think of the solution. Now, so that's one area, that buying power from third party. Now, for that reason, that's one of the reasons why I choose to go start in Batam. And there are different options available, and we're not restricted by the same power scenario as Singapore has. But at the same time, Batam is close enough to Singapore as actually on a network time basis, we're about 3 milliseconds away from Singapore. And if you look at that, there are about 4 major subsea cable that connects Batam to Singapore today. And there's 7 subsea cable that connects Batam to Jakarta. Whilst there's only 2 subsea cable that connects Jakarta directly to Singapore. So you do the maths. So we believe that if you look at renewable power, you need to move away from a Singapore perspective. Our strategy would be to have to leverage off other country. So that's the way to go with renewable power. And there are quite a lot of interesting and sexy technology, which I cannot talk about at the moment, that's coming out of the Silicon Valley of all places. And they're working on really interesting idea of how to generate large amount of renewable power, which I believe would be quite at the right price, Okay? The pricing is always strategic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Jens, just quickly, I mean, you've been building now a new data center as well in the suburbs of, or a bit outside of Frankfurt, but you also had a very, let's say, green, renewable, sustainable idea behind there. Can you quickly share with your fellow colleagues and the audience a little bit what you're doing there, just in a nutshell?
It's I mean, it's not a rocket science technology. We are just using solar panel as much as we can. So we put them on our rooftop, and then we produce the power we own and we use. So that will help us, but only a little bit of the power we need, because you know, the political restrictions also to produce your own power is not as easy. So that's what we are doing. Of course, we're buying green power all over. That's available. The question in Germany is where are we getting it from? Because, you know, also Germany is not producing enough green power for the power capacity the whole industry is needed. Indeed, data center power is just a single digit of overall power usage. Most comes from the industry, and then from the household, and then data centers. So, but that's a completely different topic, and it will take another hour about Germany and its politic, how they think we will become green in terms of power. And the problem that we're facing, that is what Kevin was saying, it has a price, and it's sorry to say, damn expensive in Germany. I think we are, meanwhile,
top 3. Yeah,
I think we are top in terms of power price, and that is a huge issue for the industry, not just for us, for all industry that is absorbing tons of megawatts. So the politic has to do something here.
Okay. Plus, you use an existing building instead of a new building.
Yeah,
So
we're using an existing building. That is because that's similar. You know, it helps us. You know, that saves us about 70% of carbon, because the carbon is already in the concrete. So we don't need to build again a new, and concrete is has a lot, is carbon heavy.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, as a closing statement, but how do you see the future? Mundir, what can we expect, especially from the beautiful town of Muscat, but also in your region? What's out there? What can we expect?
Yeah, as I said, we would expect seeing continuous partnership, and the projects which are going up. Yeah, we are trying to implement, of course, our short to mid-term strategies of being the regional hub, and of course to complement our Oman vision of 2040. And Omantel is one of the leading partners in implementing that vision, and especially in the digital transformation area. And yes, we are complementing with further submarine cables connectivity to Oman and into the region, additional data centers, and we have our own now subsidiary, which is we call it Oman Data Park, which is also complementing on the national side of the data center business as well. So I think the future is more focused on data centers and connecting, everyone to everyone, with the help of the submarine cables and the complementing that sense of that side of the business as well.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Give me your crystal ball.
My crystal ball is that if you want a good life, don't get into the data center business. But if you enjoy being tortured, and that's what you like to do every morning when you get up, this is the place to be in. The business is going to, for the last 20 years of my involvement in the data center business, I started in 1999. The technology hasn't changed very much on the data center part, the mechanical, the electrical. It's been very stable. Let me tell you now that the biggest challenge we have in the data center industry is going to be internally driven. There's some of the most amazing technology, electrical and mechanical technology that's coming out. They're going to be change in the cooling strategy as well, but not driven by us, but driven by our customer. Someone said about the ARM drive. I'm talking about not the ARM drive, but I'm talking about other CPUs. That there's a change in cooling technology from the computer server side. I've been seeing some amazing discussion. I've been having some amazing discussion with server company, and the change of cooling in the server would mean a dramatic change of capex for the data center cooling system. And this is something we have to be watchful of, because if you keep building large data center with traditional cooling techniques, you could be out of fashion. So that's my kind of parting shot here. Hey guys, it's a great business, but it's getting dangerous because our technology and our customer technology is changing. So you got to keep an eye on the space. You got to keep an eye on our space, but on our customer space. And I'm going to end with that note. Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Mayank, what is your, can you scope the future or try?
Count the zeros, keep counting. Thank you.
Right. Okay, thank you. Charmant.
Yeah, all looks promising. I've never seen such a promising future, because I'll keep saying the API economy will foster for sure. I will see the global federated network will getting bigger and bigger. I will see more and more data center company is going into SDN or any automated with orchestration ability. So this is the trend. I mean, it's good to see this happening, because at what Kevin said, that there's no new telecom technology for a long time, not until the SDN come into place. So this is something promising, and I think it is brilliant, very prospecting in the future.
Okay, thank you. Jens,
Well,
your prediction.
Well, I hope we will sell our data centers soon, so that we can think about the next one and hope for new technology will arrive so that we can think about a different design, as we save power for cooling, etc. So, but yeah, the current it is what it is at the moment, and we have to build with the technique that is available. So. But of course, yeah, there are some technology evolutions or evolution we saw over the past years. Now we need probably a technology revolution. So Kevin, I'm looking out to you, what you were going to tell us in the future.
Okay.
And keep counting the zeros. Keep counting the zeros.
Keep counting the zeros. That's a nice, beautiful statement. Okay, gentlemen, I would like to thank you very much for being at this webinar here, hybrid actually, so live and virtual from Berlin, and sponsored by DC Connect. So Charmant, thank you very much. Mayank, Kevin, Mundir and Jens, always a pleasure talking to you, and ladies and gentlemen out there, and even here in the audience, we would like to thank you with these gentlemen. It has been an honor to have, let's say, such a senior talent still on the webinar, and from us it's to say goodbye to you, and thank you so much, and stay tuned with GCCM. And Charmant, Mayank, Kevin, Mundir and Jens, again, thank you so much, guys. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you.